I always thought mornings were simple, but that day felt strange even before I opened my eyes. I remember hearing Lena hum in the kitchen, something soft and distant, like she was somewhere else even while standing in the same room. I walked in and said, "Morning," and she replied without looking at me, "You're late again." It stung more than it should have. I wanted to tell her I was tired, that Marcus had been pushing me harder than ever, but the words stayed stuck in my throat. I felt something slipping away, and I didn't know why. Lena kept moving around the kitchen, like I wasn't even there. I tried again and said, "Did you sleep okay?" She shrugged and muttered, "Fine." Nothing else. No smile, no warmth. Not even the fake interest she used to show when things were rough between us. I sat at the table and rubbed my forehead. "Work was crazy last night," I whispered, hoping she'd respond. She didn't. She only grabbed her phone and typed something fast, like she couldn't wait to leave the conversation. A small voice inside me whispered that something was terribly wrong, but I kept quiet today. I left for work early because the silence in the house felt heavier than usual. On the way, I kept asking myself, did I do something? But I couldn't find an answer. When I reached the office, Marcus greeted me with his usual grin. "Evan, big day. Need you sharp." I forced a smile and said, "I'll do my best." He clapped my shoulder like he cared, but something in his eyes made me feel small. I ignored it, buried myself in tasks, and tried not to think about Lena's cold voice echoing in my head all morning that day. When lunch break came, I called Lena. She didn't answer. I tried again. Nothing. I told myself she was tired or busy, but the truth kept crawling under my skin. Marcus walked by and asked, "Everything good?" I nodded and lied. "Yeah, just checking in at home." He smirked like he knew something I didn't. It bothered me more than it should have. I went back to my desk and tried focusing, but my thoughts kept returning to Lena's distant eyes and the way she held her phone like it mattered more than anything I could ever say that day. When I reached home that evening, the lights were dim and the air felt wrong. I called out, "Lena?" No answer. I walked toward the bedroom, and that's when I heard her voice. Soft. Whispering. Laughing. I froze. "Stop it, Marcus," she said, her tone playful in a way I hadn't heard in months. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stepped closer, and the words became sharp, undeniable. "He doesn't suspect anything," she whispered. I felt the ground shift beneath me. My hands shook as I pushed the door open, praying I was mistaken even as the truth burned. Lena turned toward me, her face twisting like she had been caught stealing air. "Evan, what are you doing home?" she asked, voice trembling but eyes cold. I stared at her phone still glowing in her hand and said, "Who were you talking to?" She hesitated for half a second too long. "Just a friend," she replied. I laughed, a broken sound. "A friend named Marcus?" Her silence was the confirmation I never wanted. She finally said, "You pushed me away. What did you expect?" I felt something inside me die as she spoke those cruel, careless words that night. "I trusted you," I whispered, feeling my throat tighten. She rolled her eyes and said, "Trust doesn't fix everything." I stepped back like her words had weight. "How long?" I asked. She shrugged. "Long enough." I felt dizzy. "So it was real?" She smirked. "More real than what we had left." The room spun, and I grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. "I gave you everything," I said. She sighed like I was annoying her. "You gave me excuses." That was it. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I just walked out because staying felt like dying slowly inside. I stepped outside, and the cold air hit me harder than her words. I leaned against the wall and whispered, "Why?" Even though she couldn't hear me anymore. My phone buzzed, and when I looked down, I saw Marcus's name flashing across the screen. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I turned it off and stared at my reflection in the window, wondering when I stopped being enough. "I'll figure this out," I told myself, even though I didn't believe it. I walked down the street with shaking legs, knowing nothing about my life would ever be the same again after tonight. I walked into the studio with my stomach twisted, hoping no one could see how lost I was. Claire looked up from her desk the moment I stepped in and said, "You're early." "Good. I like people who show up before the day breaks them." Her voice was calm, steady, the kind that made me stand a little straighter. I said, "I didn't want to be late on my first day," and she nodded like she knew that wasn't the real reason. My hands were still shaking, and she noticed without calling attention to it. She pointed to a workstation. "Sit. Show me what you can do." I swallowed and said, "Are you sure you want me to start right away?" Claire replied, "If I don't trust you to work, why would I have hired you?" I felt something loosen inside me at her confidence. I whispered, "Thank you," and she said, "Don't thank me. Prove me right." Hannah bounced in a moment later, smiling so wide it almost hurt to look at her. "Hi. You must be the new guy," she said. I nodded, trying to sound normal as I replied, "I'm just trying not to ruin anything today." She laughed and said, "Oh, trust me, Julian's the one who ruins things. You're safe." I heard a sharp inhale from behind her as Julian walked in, cold eyes locked on her. "I heard that," he said, his tone flat. Hannah threw up her hands and said, "It's fine, he already knows he scares people." Julian turned to me and said, "Ignore her. I'm the team leader, so if you need anything, ask. Just don't expect sugarcoating." I said, "I'm not looking for sugarcoating. Just a chance to start fresh." He studied me for a second and said, "Good. Then you might actually survive here." Claire called me into her office at noon. "How are you holding up?" she asked. I tried to smile and said, "I'm fine." She looked right through it. "You're not," she said quietly. "But you're trying. That's enough for now." I felt my throat tighten. "You don't know me," I whispered. Claire responded, "I know broken when I see it. I also know strength when it's trying to crawl back into the body it came from." Her words hit deeper than I expected. "I don't want pity," I said. "Good," Claire replied, "because I don't offer pity. Only work, honesty, and a place where you won't be lied to." I closed my eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. "I can do the work," I said. She smiled softly. "Then do it. And let the rest heal on its own time." When I returned to the main room, Hannah waved me over excitedly. "Julian said you actually work fast," she whispered. "That's rare praise from the office iceberg." I smiled for the first time in days. "He called me efficient," I said. Hannah gasped dramatically. "Efficient? Oh wow, that's like a love confession from him." Julian, passing by, muttered, "I can hear you too," and Hannah shouted, "Good." Later, she leaned closer and said, "Just so you know, Claire's tough, but she cares about people. Really cares. She's scary when she's mad though, so don't lie to her." I shook my head. I don't think I could lie to her even if I tried. Hannah grinned. "Yeah, she has that effect." As the afternoon quieted, Claire walked over to me. "You did more than I expected today," she said. My heart jumped in my chest. "I just didn't want to disappoint you," I replied. Claire looked at me long enough that I felt exposed. "Disappointment doesn't scare me," she said. "People giving up on themselves does." I whispered, "I'm trying not to." She said, "Good. Keep trying." When the day ended, Julian stopped me at the door. "You held your own," he said. "Not many people do on their first day." I said, "I needed this." He nodded. Everyone here needed something when they came. Claire has a way of finding people who are drowning. I felt a chill. "Is that what I look like?" I asked. Julian held my gaze and said, "Yeah. But you also look like someone who wants to swim again." Outside, Hannah rushed after me. "Hey, don't disappear without warning," she said. I laughed softly. "I thought you were done with me for today." She shook her head. "Nope. I like knowing the people around me aren't falling apart silently." I swallowed hard. "I'm doing my best." She patted my arm gently. "Then you're already doing more than enough." Walking home, I replayed every moment. Claire's calm voice, Hannah's bright laughter, Julian's blunt honesty. Something inside me warmed painfully. Oh, I hated how good it felt. I whispered to myself, "Don't get attached." Not yet. But even as I said it, I felt the faint spark inside me refusing to die. When I reached my apartment, I leaned against the door, closing my eyes. "Maybe tomorrow will be better," I said out loud. I stood there in the dim hallway, feeling the quiet press around me, and I whispered, "I can keep going." The words felt uncertain but real. I thought of Claire's steady eyes, Hannah's loud kindness, Julian's quiet respect, and I let myself breathe a little deeper. I sat on the edge of Jason's couch with my hands still shaking from everything that happened. "I can't believe I'm even saying this," I muttered. He sat across from me and said, "Start. Just say it." I swallowed hard. Lena cheated on me. With Marcus. Jason's eyes widened. "That snake." I nodded. "And then he fired me." "Tell me exactly what she said," Jason demanded. I ran a hand through my hair. "She blamed me," I whispered. "She said I ignored her. She said I pushed her away." Jason leaned forward. "And you believed that?" I shook my head. "I don't know what I believe. Everything feels numb." He pointed at me. "Say it clearly." I exhaled. "She chose him." She looked me in the eyes and acted like I ruined her life. Jason cursed. "That's classic guilt shifting." I closed my eyes. The way she talked to me today, it didn't even sound like her. He replied, "No. It's exactly who she is when she stops pretending." I opened my eyes and stared at the table. When Marcus called and fired me, she didn't even flinch. She just said it was for the best. Jason growled, "She's protecting him." I leaned back. I walked out with nothing. Just my jacket. Jason said, "You walked out with your self-respect." I sighed. "It doesn't feel like it." He replied, "That's because your heart's bleeding." My chest tightened. I asked her why she did it. She said she wanted attention. Jason snapped, "Attention? She threw away your marriage for ego." I nodded. "She said I wasn't what she needed." Jason shook his head. "No. She wasn't what you needed." I rubbed my face. "Maybe I should have seen it coming." Jason said, "Stop that. You trusted her. That's not a crime." "I trusted both of them," I whispered. Marcus acted like he was guiding me. Jason snorted. He was guiding himself. I felt my throat tighten. When she told me to leave, she didn't even look sad. Jason said, "That tells you everything." I looked at him. "What do I do now?" He took a breath. "You get up. You rebuild. You don't let people like them decide your future." I shook my head. "It hurts too much." He answered, "Pain doesn't mean you're done. It means you're alive." My voice cracked. "I loved her." Jason softened. "I know. But love doesn't justify betrayal." I stared at the floor. The silence in the house before it happened, it feels different now. Like it was warning me. Jason leaned back. "Sometimes the heart knows before the mind." I whispered. When I heard her laughing with him, something inside me shattered. Jason asked, "And when you confronted her?" I swallowed. "She said I never listened." Jason scoffed. "You listened every time she needed something." I whispered. "She said I should grow up." Jason muttered, "She's projecting." I leaned forward. "Why wasn't I enough?" Jason grabbed my shoulder. "Because her emptiness isn't your job to fill." I felt tears burn my eyes. "I don't want to feel this." Jason whispered, "You will heal. I've got you." I nodded. "Thank you." He smiled weakly. "Your family. I'm not letting you sink." I exhaled. "I can't believe Marcus fired me like I was nothing." Jason replied, "He feared truth." I looked out the window. Everything changed in one day. Jason said, "Then tomorrow starts the rebuild." I breathed slowly. "I don't know who I am without that life." Jason answered, "You're the man who survived betrayal and stood up." I whispered, "It still feels impossible." Jason shook his head. Nothing is impossible when you refuse to stay down. I nodded. I guess I have to start somewhere. Jason smiled. Start with this. You deserved better. I let out a shaky breath. Yeah, Jason added, and one day you'll see this wasn't an ending. I looked at him. What is it then? He answered, the beginning. I leaned back into the couch and said, it still feels like everything fell apart. Jason replied, sometimes things fall apart so you can build something stronger. I rubbed my arms. I don't feel strong. Jason said, you don't have to feel it today. I stared at the ceiling. I hate that she didn't even hesitate. Jason nodded. She made her choice. I whispered, she chose the man who took my job. Jason replied, she chose what reflected her, not you. I felt myself sinking into the cushions. What if I never trust again? Jason said, you will. Not now, but when you heal. I breathed out slowly. It feels like she took everything. Jason said, not everything. Your future is still yours. I looked at him. Then stay with me tonight? Jason smiled. Of course. You're not alone. I closed eyes, grateful. I stared at the glowing screen in the meeting room, trying to steady my breathing. Claire stood beside me, arms crossed, eyes sharp. You're presenting this part, she said. I swallowed. Me? Are you sure? Yes, she replied. You understand the concept better than anyone. Hannah leaned in from behind her laptop. You've got this, Evan. Seriously. Julian didn't smile, but he gave a slow nod. Don't mess it up. I let out a shaky laugh. No pressure. Claire raised an eyebrow. Pressure makes diamonds. Or cracks. Let's hope for diamonds. Her voice pushed the fear back inside me. When the clients walked in, I heard her whisper, breathe. So I breathed, stepped forward, and began the pitch. My voice trembled at first, but as the seconds passed, the ideas started flowing. The room felt steady again. I felt steady again. When it ended, the clients exchanged looks and the leader said, impressive. We want to proceed. My heart almost burst. Hannah gasped, Evan, you did it. Julian muttered, not terrible. Claire placed a hand briefly on my shoulder. Good work. That one touch felt like the sun. Later, as I walked outside, I called Jason. Man, they approved the project. He shouted through the phone. I knew you'd pull it off. How's it feel? Like I'm waking up, I said. Like the old me is coming back. I'm proud of you, he said. Don't lose this momentum. I promised I wouldn't. But life doesn't let victories breathe for long. That evening, on my way home, I saw a figure standing beside my apartment door. My steps slowed when I recognized her. Lena. Her eyes were wet, makeup messy, shoulders shaking. Evan, please. I need to talk to you. My stomach dropped. Why are you here? She reached for me, but I stepped back. Please, she whispered. Just listen. I don't owe you anything, I said. But you loved me, she cried. And I made the worst mistake of my life. I clenched my jaw. Which one? The lies? The calls with Marcus? Or watching me fall apart while you looked bored? She flinched. Marcus used me, Evan. He promised everything and then threw me away. He fired me. He called me a distraction. I stared at her, the old pain pushing against my ribs. So now you want what? Comfort? Or a place to land because he kicked you out? She sobbed harder. I want us back. No. That one word almost broke something inside me, but it also held me together. She shook her head. You don't mean that. I do, I said. I meant every apology I ever gave you, every effort I ever made, every night I stayed up trying to fix things alone. But this, I pointed between us. This died the day you chose him. You can't just walk away, she said. I already did. She tried again. Evan, I'm begging you. I felt my voice steady in a way it never had with her. You didn't want me when you had me. You wanted the version of me you could control. You wanted someone small. That's not true, she whispered. It is, I said. But I'm not small anymore. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. Please, she whispered one last time. I shook my head. Go home, Lena. Whatever home means now. She broke down completely, sliding against the wall as I walked past her. I didn't look back. Inside my apartment, I finally exhaled. My hands were shaking, but not from weakness this time. From release. My phone buzzed. Claire. Did you get home safely? She asked when I answered. Yeah, I said, my voice rough. You sound off. Did something happen? I hesitated, then said, Lena showed up. A long pause. Then, soft but firm. Are you okay? I don't know, I admitted. But I didn't let her pull me back. That took strength, she said. Real strength. It didn't feel strong. Then let me tell you, she said gently, it was. Her voice calmed the storm inside me. I leaned back on the couch. Claire, thank you. For everything. You don't owe me thanks, she replied. You did the work. You chose to stand. But you helped me stand. She exhaled slowly. Evan, listen. Pain doesn't disappear quickly. But when you face it instead of running, it loses its power. I think I finally faced it tonight. And that's why you're going to be okay, she said. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But soon. Her words settled into me like warmth. I hope so. I know so, she replied. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet room, breathing in the silence. There was no shaking, no dread, no memory dragging me backward. Just me. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. I didn't choose Lena. I didn't choose revenge. I chose myself, and that simple choice felt like the beginning of power. Jason called me early in the morning and said, You're not going to believe this, Evan. I rubbed my eyes and answered, What now? He sighed and said, Marcus's company is done. A full scandal. Investors pulled out. My chest tightened, not with joy, but with something calmer that day. Tell me everything, I said, even though part of me already knew karma had moved quietly. Jason said, Board members exposed hidden accounts. Marcus blamed everyone. I exhaled slowly and whispered, And Lena? He paused before answering. She lost everything too. No money, no job, nothing left in her life. I expected anger, but all I felt was a soft, tired emptiness. Guess karma doesn't need my help, I murmured. Jason said, So you're really done with her? I nodded and said, I was done the moment she chose him. Saying it aloud felt like closing a heavy door today. I tried to work, but my focus kept drifting. Claire noticed. She walked over and said, Your mind is somewhere else. I forced a smile. Just processing things. She crossed her arms and asked, Is this about the past again? I whispered, It caught up with me today as well. She studied my face for a long moment before saying, Come outside with me. I followed her to the small balcony behind the studio. The cold air helped me breathe. She leaned on the railing and asked, Do you want to talk? I whispered, I'm not sure anymore about anything. She didn't push. Instead, she said, Sit. Start wherever you want. I sat beside her and stared at my hands. I found out today that everything fell apart for them, I said. She asked softly, And how do you feel? I answered, Like I'm finally breathing again right this moment. Claire turned toward me and said, Tell me the whole truth, Evan. Her voice wasn't demanding, it was safe. I swallowed hard. Lena cheated on me with Marcus. Then he fired me. I lost everything at once. Claire whispered, And you carried that alone? I nodded silently for too long. She reached out but didn't touch me, giving me space. You deserved better, she said. I didn't know how to accept those words. It still feels like I wasn't enough, I admitted. Claire shook her head gently. No. Someone failed to see your worth. That's not your failure at all. I stared at her, feeling something loosen inside my chest. Why does it hurt less when you say it? She smiled softly. Because you know I mean it. I let out a shaky breath. I didn't think anyone would listen. She replied, I listen when it matters to your heart. I laughed weakly and said, you make it sound easy. She shook her head. It's not easy. But you're stronger than you think. I looked down. I don't feel strong. She answered, strength shows when you stand back up. Her words felt like a warm hand on my spine today. She sighed and said, you shut people out, Evan. I nodded. It felt safer. She asked, safer from what? I answered quietly, from breaking again. Claire's eyes softened. But you're not broken. You're healing. I whispered, it doesn't feel like it. She replied, healing never feels like healing at first. I leaned back and let the cold breeze touch my face. Jason said Lena lost everything. Claire nodded slowly. And how does that make you feel? I replied, like the world corrected itself. She asked, do you hate her? I shook my head. No. I'm just finally done with her. Claire looked at me like she could see every bruise inside me. You're allowed to move on, she said. I shook my head. I'm not ready. She answered softly, not ready doesn't mean never. I felt my throat tighten. Why are you being so kind? She whispered, because you deserve. I felt something crack open inside me again, but this time it didn't hurt. You really believe that? I asked. Claire nodded. I wouldn't say it otherwise. I rubbed my palms together. It's scary to trust someone again. She whispered, then trust me slowly. Those words grounded me right now. We sat in silence for a moment before she said, you're rebuilding yourself. I shook my head. I'm just surviving. She replied, surviving is the first step of rebuilding. I closed my eyes. I don't know who I'm becoming. She smiled softly. Someone stronger. Someone who knows his worth today. I looked at her, feeling something warm replace the cold ache I'd lived with for months. You're different from anyone I've met, I said. She laughed gently. Different how? I replied, you see me. Claire's smile softened. I always have. My chest tightened in a new, brighter way for me. I breathed out slowly and said, I'm scared of wanting more. Claire stepped closer, stopping just enough to respect my space. You don't have to rush, she said. Just don't hide from yourself. I whispered, I'm trying. She nodded. Trying is enough for now. Her voice wrapped around me gently. When she finally walked me back inside, she said, come to me if it gets heavy again. I nodded quietly. Thank you for being here. She replied, always. As she left, I felt a strange peace settling inside me. Maybe karma didn't need my help. Maybe healing didn't either today. I woke up to sunlight spilling across the studio floor, Claire already at her desk, reviewing sketches. I paused at the doorway and whispered, morning. She looked up and smiled, calm and steady as always. You're here early. I couldn't sleep, I admitted. Thought I'd get a head start. You've come a long way, she said softly. From broken to almost unstoppable. I laughed, a little awkwardly. Almost unstoppable? Claire tilted her head. You still hesitate. I've learned to pause, I said. Not because I'm scared, but because I want to be sure of every step now. That's different from before, she said. Her eyes held me in a way I'd never known someone could. Later that evening, I found us alone in the small office kitchen. I leaned against the counter, smiling faintly. I didn't think I'd ever feel normal again. You mean happy? She asked. Yeah, I said quietly. Happy and capable. Strong again. Claire leaned back, crossing her arms, teasing lightly. I always knew you were capable. You just had to believe it. I nodded, feeling warmth spread through my chest. You believed for me when I couldn't. That's what partners do, she said softly. We lift each other. Not fix, just lift. I looked at her, realizing the truth in those words. You've done more than lift me, Claire. You've made me want to fight for myself again. She laughed, a gentle, melodic sound. And here I thought you were always stubborn. I am, I said. But stubbornness is useless without someone patient enough to wait. Weeks turned into months, and I found myself more confident each day. I led projects, spoke in meetings, even laughed without guilt. Every time I succeeded, every time I felt steady, I thought of Claire and the quiet strength she had shown me. She never asked me to forgive Lena. She never judged my scars. She only asked me to keep moving forward. One evening, a year later, I walked into our apartment, holding something heavy in my pocket. Claire looked up from the couch. "You look serious," she said. "I am," I replied. "And nervous." "Evan," she laughed softly. "This isn't a presentation. You don't need slides." I chuckled, my hands shaking slightly. "No slides, no graphs. I took a deep breath. "Just me." She set her book down, curiosity in her eyes. "Go on." I stepped closer. A year ago I was broken. I was lost. I couldn't trust anyone, not even myself. But you saw me. The real me. You didn't try to change me. You helped me see that surviving betrayal wasn't the end. That I could love again. And not just survive, I could grow. She swallowed softly, eyes glistening. "Evan." I knelt on one knee, pulling the small box from my pocket. "Claire, I don't have all the answers. I don't promise a perfect life. But I promise to stand by you. As your equal, your partner, your family. You healed what betrayal tried to destroy, and I want to spend the rest of my life making sure I honor that. Will you marry me?" Tears rolled down her cheeks. She smiled through them, shaking her head slightly. "Yes, Evan. Yes." I slipped the ring onto her finger and stood, pulling her into my arms. Her head rested against my chest, and for the first time in my life, I felt complete. Not because I had someone to save me, but because we were equal, strong together. "I can't believe we're here," I whispered. "Believe it," she said softly. "Because we fought for it. Both of us." I held her tighter. "I'm not the man who was betrayed anymore. I'm the man who survived, who grew, who loved again. And I'll love you," she said, looking up at me, "for exactly who you are." I smiled, a deep, satisfied smile. "Then we start our new life," I said. "Together." She laughed quietly. "Together." The room was quiet except for our soft breaths, but it felt full of trust, full of warmth, full of everything I had thought lost forever. "I used to fear love," I whispered. "Now I know it can heal. And I'll be here every step," she said. I kissed her forehead. "Then this is just the beginning." We stood holding each other, the city lights outside painting the walls in soft gold. I realized that the man I had been, the one broken by lies, betrayal, and loss, was gone. In his place was someone stronger, someone fearless, someone ready to love fully again. And she was the woman I chose, the woman Lena could never have been. We stayed like that for a long moment, silent, content, knowing that everything we had fought for was finally ours. For the first time in years, I didn't feel pain, fear, or doubt. Only certainty. I had survived. I had grown. And now I loved again,